point about, now we've got we may have a different regime, and how will it impact us? In fact, there will be tools that we can't use. For example, a year ago, we got the European investigation order. It's only been there a year, but it sounded like a great idea. We've actually used it, and it's a good tool. What we're going to have to do, remember, we're operational. We're not the policymakers. We're going to work with what we've got, and if we have to revert to multilateral arrangements, multilateral ways of exchanging information, our bilateral agreements that we have in place.
Could you just, the European investigation order,
yes.
Tell us what happened with that in relation to the usage you've made of it?
Sure. It enabled us to work as a team with another country, and to actually follow a less formal path, as it were, to reaching in and getting evidence. And that's true with some of our other tools.
So what does it mean if we're not party to that post-March?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know exactly what's going to be put in place, of course, and that we'll have figuring out what's there. We'll have a resource drain. Let's all agree to that. If there's a change, we're going to have to figure out what that is, and that's going to take some time and manpower and womanpower and money to figure that all out. But if we don't have that tool, I'd say that's a very recent tool, so that one doesn't really worry me as much.
Let's look at some others then. What about the European arrest warrant?
Yeah.
I mean, you must use that significantly.
We use it, and in fact, not all countries who have signed up to it use it. So we've actually had, in the past couple of years, France and Germany that decided they weren't going to abide by the European arrest warrant. I'm not saying that's always the case. The signatories to some of these multilateral arrangements do actually uphold their side of the bargain, but not uniformly so. So will it make a change for us? Yes, it will make a change for us. Will it make a huge change for us? Different countries have arranged different things. For example, on this investigation warrant, there are certain jurisdictions that never signed up to it. So what do? We fall back to MLATs, our treaty arrangements. They're often slower. They're often a little more cumbersome. We're going to have to all accept that it may take a little bit longer to do our jobs, but I think that we're going to work with anything we've got. We're really motivated. I think many of our colleagues are motivated to get at the real problems, and we're pretty united when we've worked together. Remember, our cases, the bad side to PACE, or sort of the good side to having long-term cases, means we've often worked in joint task force with other agents and other prosecutors for years. I don't think that's going to change overnight. I really think we'll still be motivated to conclude our cases.
I'm sure you will be motivated to conclude the cases. Well, what I'm interested in is whether or not, for example, in 2 years' time, we haven't got clarity yet on things like the European arrest warrant, and if you have an individual who you need to bring back to the UK, whether you can do that in the next 2 years.
I hope that there are ways to work with what we have. I would say that we don't extradite a lot of people, just on, let's say, extradition per se. That's not our bread and butter work. That's not typical of what we do in terms of what worries me. So that might be less concerning. I'd like to think that we could be a little creative. So let's say we hit a blocker around dual criminality. There's a country that says, you need this crime and you need to have that crime, or else we can't play ball. Well, oftentimes prosecutors have a range of crimes to choose from. I'd like to think if we're all minded to work together, we find the kind of crime that is colorable, not going outside the bounds of the law, that's colorable, where we can work together. If I'm realistic, will we always find that? I don't really know. I don't have any way of knowing.
Okay, well, let's look at information exchange. Do you think we have clarity at the moment for you in a professional capacity on what happens with the European Criminal Records Information System, or with Schengen Information System 2, SIS2, post 29th of March, up to whatever backstop date we've currently determined? Is there clarity?
I'd love to say there's clarity. I think I would echo the views of most of our country now in saying there's a certain amount of uncertainty.
Okay, well, what does it mean to you then? What does it mean to you now that on whatever we are today, December the 14th, 15th, or whatever it is, 18th to December today, time is going so quick. On December the 18th, what does it mean to you not knowing whether you can access those information systems to exchange information, to access records on the 29th of March next year, beyond?
Well, I'm old enough and have worked in this area long enough. I actually played a similar role at the U.S. Justice Department to remember the days when we worked solely with mutual legal assistance treaties and across bilateral relations. I think we're going to be able to get at what we need. I'm not confident that it will move with the same speed that it does now.
So I don't want to paraphrase for you, but you're
Sure.
saying that it will be a not as effective post 29th currently as you think it is now.
To be honest, I don't know. I'd like to hope we come up with solutions that will work for us at the operational level, but I don't know. I know what I've experienced before, which was a different system where it did take longer in many instances than it does now.
What planning and preparation are you undertaking in the event of none of these deals happening?
Sure.
So there's an element of risk there that on the 29th of March, there's no PM deal, there's no other deal, and there's a cliff edge, which I'll have a personal view on, but which is still a cliff edge. What does that mean for the SFO?
We've been planning for our focus lately, has given what we read and know about, has been what do we do in the event of a no-deal scenario. And we've actually figured out the sorts of resources we think we might need, knowing that we don't have the clarity and certainty anybody would like. We think we will need a range of legal skills, especially to figure out what does the new landscape look like, what are the new rules, how will we embed them, how will we work with them.
So what's the ballpark figure on that then, roughly?
I think we're envisioning, and I'd like to make sure to get back to you with the absolute facts, but when last briefed on this, in anticipation of this meeting, it was an extra 6 lawyers to help us negotiate and figure out the new landscape and how we're going to work with it. So what do 6 lawyers cost at the exactly.